Okay, we're back to second part of chapter 16. So Adam and Troy had this very nice idea of living in Mexico right after the Grand Canyon, or maybe at least that's what their plan is. Okay, so anyway, I was laughing. Then Troy was saying, seriously, you guys don't understand what the rate of exchange means. You don't go to a big international resort. You go to a remote village on the beach. You rent one of those open air houses and you live off the local economy. Great, I thought. Spend the rest of my life as a fugitive from justice with Troy in Mexico. It must cost something, I objected, trying to keep a straight face. Troy's eyes scanned us. He said, hey, I got money, okay? Money's not the problem. Does anybody have a better idea? I'm not joking. I'm going to Mexico and you're all invited. Living like kings, Pug said. Troy was looking around for his support. We can do it. I know. I've been down there before. People are nice too. And if you get away from where the gringos are, everything costs next to nothing. It's true. Not to mention, we'd be escaping justice, as they say. On to Mexico, Pug said. Adam waved the empty bottle. Viva Mexico! Now I was all confused. Maybe Adam would do that. It would be just like him. Rita, Troy said excitedly, give me that river map. I got an idea. Troy started flipping through the pages. The other group mentioned a hiking trail that goes out Havasu Creek through some Indian village. Remember, Al is expecting us to go all the way through the canyon and take out air where everyone else does. Either Diamond Creek or Lake Mead. Here it is. We'll hit Havasu Creek tomorrow. Look who's all into the mile-by-mile guide, Star said and pointed at Troy. She said it loud and clear. Tipsy but loud and clear, she was getting real spunky. Troy looked up, astonished to realize that Star of all people was making fun of him. Hey, I know why you're working on a new plan, Rita, tickled with some great insight of her own. Troy's afraid of lava. Troy's afraid to run lava falls after the flipping crystal. That's why he wants to go to Havasu Creek. Didn't like the spin in the washing machine, eh, Troy? Troy lost it. He jumped up and stood in front of Rita, who was rapidly coming to her feet. Maniac, he said, can't you take a joke? Troy pushed her. Suddenly, she went sprawling down into the sand, catching herself on her hands. Rita was clambering to her feet again. So was everybody else, trying to back up and get out of the way. Party's over, Freddie said. Let's call it a night. Who says it's over? Troy snarled. Nothing's over till I say it's over. Yeah, Puck said, squaggering in the clearing. Who says it's over, Freddie? He drew his knife from his sheath and said, from now on, you're going to do whatever Troy tells you to do. Got it, punk? Pug was waving the big knife back and forth for emphasis. Swaying a little from the tequila, just that quickly Freddie struck and the knife went flying. In a few seconds, as we watched with our mouths open, Pug lay whistling on the ground. Nobody reached for the knife, certainly not Troy. He backed away, and there was more moonlight than firelight on his face. Hurt and drunk, Pug was having a hard time picking himself up. Freddie picked up the knife, took a few steps, held it by the tip of the blade, and sent it flying and over into the river. Everyone could hear the splash. Freddie said, I'm tired of looking at that thing. Troy grabbed Adam's walking stick away from him. He was watching Fred and Pug both, trying to gauge how soon his Goliath was going to recover. Rita reached down for a rock, grabbed a second one, and handed it to me. Pug was back on his feet, but he didn't look much like a warrior. Troy threw the staff down and muttered, such a bunch of losers I never saw in my life. Troy and Pug went down to the beach together and were carrying on quite a discussion, plotting their revenge, no doubt. Some tough guys, I thought. I'm not impressed. I thought we should get away from them a little, where we could talk among ourselves. We started to walk up the creek. My foot's hurting too bad, Adam said. I'm going back to the fire. I'll stay with Adam, Rita said. We sat on the slick rock by a little pool along the creek, just the three of us again. For a long while, we didn't speak. The nearly full moon lit up the canyon walls and the river and our faces. It was a cold moon and I was afraid. Freddie, Star said, you have to watch out for those guys. There's no telling what they might do. I'm not afraid of guys like that. It's Troy. He really has it in for you. If those two hike out on Havasu Creek tomorrow, it's none too soon for me. Maybe we should all go to Havasu Creek, Star suggested. Give them a head start so we won't have to be with them and then go up ourselves. Adam's hurt. We're just putting off the inevitable. You mean turning ourselves in? I said. What else are we going to do? I could see that Freddie wasn't so sure about leaving the canyon just yet, but he held back and kept his thoughts to himself. Back in camp, Star and I were just about asleep when I came aware of someone outside our tent, calling my name. It was Freddie. I struggled to my elbows and unzipped the tent. I parted the door and saw Freddie's face in the moonlight. He was in agony. I got stung. Couple of times. Stung? In my sleeping bag. Poor Freddie. The thought of him being hurt had never entered in my mind. I'd always thought of him as impervious to pain. He knelt on one knee, with one hand behind his back. What was it? What stung you? I don't know, he said. His voice was thick and choking in his throat. It got more than once. I think it must have been a scorpion. Oh my gosh. Freddie, get in here. With our flashlight, we located the stings. There were 2 of them. Tiny bumps along Freddie's spine and the small of his back. Star, would you get the first aid kit of the boat and pull up the book? Troy did this, I thought. I knew it. Do you really think that it's Pug's scorpion from his container? I had Freddie crawl into Star's sleeping bag. While I scrambled out of my own, I pulled on my jeans and sweater. Freddie's breathing was in short gasps now. Tell me what it feels like, I asked him. He was writhing around the bag. I felt his forehead. He had quite a fever. It hurts like crazy when I was stung. My throat is dry. I need a drink of water. I handed him a water bottle, and he managed to sit up on one elbow and take a few sips. Where's Star? What's taking her so long? He asked. She'll be right here. Parting the door, I saw Star with a flashlight in her teeth, stumbling toward with a heavy first aid rocket box in her arms. Back inside, she was pulling on more clothes, while I was reading what the first aid book had to say about scorpion stings. It wasn't going to be much help about what to actually do, but I could see right away. Treat for shock, it said, then get the victim to the hospital. What's it say? Freddie rasped. It says babies are the most trouble because of their low body weight. Jesse, please read me the whole thing. I need to know. I looked at Star and then I read. Of the 20 known species of scorpion in the Southwest, only one, the slender scorpion, is considered lethal. It is found mostly in southern Arizona and the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The sting of other scorpions causes local swelling, while that of the slender scorpion is systemic, with intense pain at the site of the sting which may not abate for up to 12 hours. Small children and infants are at greater risk due to low body weight. Multiple stings, especially on the neck or spine, can prove lethal for adults as well. Reactions vary considerably from person to person. Respiratory distress, shock, and exhaustion can lead to death. Keep the victim calm. Treat with ice at the site of the sting. Treat for shock. Hospitalize if possible. Several Arizona hospitals have anti-venom. That's all? That's it, I said helplessly. Freddie, you're not going to die, I know it. Freddie grinned through his pain. I'm not planning on it. I kept thinking about something my mother told me. The Hopis get bit sometimes when they do the snake dance. I asked her why those rattlesnakes' bites don't make them sick or kill them. She said. Freddie's hand emerged from the bag and pointed to his head. The answer's up here. That's it, I said. Whistle through your teeth and spit, Freddie, like your dad always used to say. We sat beside him into the endless night. No more talking. It was too hard on him. We had no ice to put on the stings. I kept my hand on his forehead, and our eyes met often. His breathing came more and more labored as his pulse raced, and he tossed and turned with all his muscles contracting. He had retreated himself and was drawing strength from places only he knew. Sometime after the moon went down, it all started to back off, and eventually he was able to fall asleep. Star and I were so thankful. We kept watching him to make sure he was still breathing. I looked to Star. He's gonna make it, Star, I whispered. Jesse, I think we should wake Adam and Rita. We need to tell them what happened. I think we need to do something. We need to get away from these guys before something worse happens. I've seen people like Troy before. You have to get away from them. The four of us gathered just outside the tent, whispering. I already checked, Adam said first thing. That scorpion in my blue soap dish, it's not there. They could have killed Freddy. We're all off on one mind. We had to leave as quickly as possible, and we had to take both boats so they couldn't follow us. The first light of dawn was already starting to show. We would have to be quick and very quiet. Take your sleeping bags and clothes, I said. There's food on the gear boat. Leave everything else behind. We can make it to Havasu Creek by the evening. We carried Freddy inside the sleeping bag and slipped away onto the river. Wow, last 2 chapters, guys.